Before we begin today's story, take just a quick moment to support the channel. If you enjoy powerful, emotional stories that stay with you long after the video ends, make sure you subscribe to the channel and press the like button. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that truly matter. Stories that make you think, feel, and sometimes even see life a little differently. And trust me, the story you're about to hear is one of those stories. Because tonight's story isn't just about a family. It isn't just about regret or forgiveness. It's about timing. It's about the moments when life quietly convinces us that certain chapters are over, only to reopen them when we least expect it. Sometimes we think the past is behind us. But sometimes, all it takes is one knock on the door to bring everything back. The night had settled gently over a quiet neighborhood in Ohio. It was one of those calm evenings where the world seemed to slow down. The kind of silence that felt almost delicate, like the entire street had agreed not to disturb the peace. Soft yellow streetlights stretched across empty sidewalks. Their glow painted long shadows across carefully trimmed lawns and quiet houses resting under the dark sky. A light breeze moved through the tall trees lining the street, causing the leaves to rustle softly. It wasn't loud enough to disturb anyone, just enough to remind the night that the world was still alive. Most of the houses had already turned off their lights. Families were asleep. Televisions had gone silent. The neighborhood had settled into its familiar nighttime rhythm. But inside one modest home at the very end of the street, the night carried a different kind of stillness. Inside that house stood Emily Carter. Emily stood in her living room, preparing to end another ordinary day. A single lamp beside the couch cast a warm golden glow across the room. The soft light filled the space with a sense of calm comfort, something Emily had grown used to over the years. Her life had become quieter with time. There had been a period when this very house felt alive with noise. Years ago, laughter used to echo through these walls. Footsteps would race down the hallway. Doors would slam shut and open again. Music would play too loudly from a bedroom down the hall. Back then, the house had been full of movement, full of energy, full of life. But slowly, over time, those sounds had faded. Now the house held a different kind of silence. Not the painful silence of loneliness, but the quiet rhythm of a life that had slowly settled into calm routines. Emily had learned to accept that. She had adapted to evenings like this one. Peaceful, predictable, and uneventful. The kind of nights where nothing surprising ever happened. Or at least, that's what she believed. Emily reached toward the lamp beside the couch and gently flipped the switch. The warm light disappeared instantly, and darkness slowly crept into the corners of the room. Shadows stretched across the walls as the house settled into nighttime stillness. Emily stretched her arms slightly, feeling the familiar tiredness that comes at the end of a long but ordinary day. She was ready for bed. Another day had passed. Another quiet night was about to begin. But just as she turned toward the hallway, knock. The sound shattered the silence. It was sharp, sudden, and far too loud for such a peaceful night. Emily froze. Her hand hovered in the air where the lamp switch had been only seconds earlier. For a moment she didn't move at all. Her heart skipped once. Then again. Almost as if her body had recognized the sound before her mind had the chance to process it. Someone was at the door. Emily slowly turned her head toward the front hallway. Her mind immediately began searching for explanations. But none of them made sense. No one visited this late anymore. Not in her life. Not in this quiet neighborhood where people respected each other's schedules and routines. Friends called first. Neighbors sent messages. Unexpected visitors simply didn't happen. And yet, knock. There it was again. This time slightly firmer. Still careful. Still polite. But impossible to ignore. Emily felt something tighten deep inside her chest. At first she assumed it was fear. Maybe it was just surprise. But the strange feeling growing inside her didn't feel like either of those things. It felt like something far more dangerous. Hope. The realization startled her. Hope had a strange habit of appearing exactly when it shouldn't. And sometimes, hope could hurt more than disappointment. Emily stood in the hallway wearing her faded blue pajamas. Her hair was loosely tied back, and the dim lighting cast a faint reflection of her figure in the dark mirror on the wall. For a brief moment, She considered ignoring the knock entirely. She could pretend she hadn't heard it. She could let the night swallow the sound and carry it away. Whoever it was would eventually leave. And tomorrow would continue exactly as it always had. Quiet. Predictable. Safe. But something deep inside her refused to let that happen. Something stronger than caution pushed her forward. Slowly, Emily began walking toward the front door. Each step echoed softly against the wooden floor. And with every step, memories she hadn't expected began to rise to the surface. Memories from years ago. Memories of a younger version of herself moving through the same hallway. Memories of a small boy racing toward the door every time someone knocked. His laughter. His excitement. The way he always believed every visitor had come just to see him. Those memories returned so vividly that it almost felt like the house itself remembered. Like the walls had been waiting for this moment. Emily reached the front door. Her hand rested gently on the handle. She paused. For just a moment. Her eyes closed slowly as if she was preparing herself for something she couldn't yet explain. Then she opened the door. And in that instant, everything changed. Standing on the porch was a young man. A travel bag hung from his shoulder, and the soft glow of the porch light illuminated his face just enough for Emily to recognize him instantly. Her breath caught in her throat. Daniel. Her son. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Time seemed to stretch between them, thick and heavy. Years of distance compressed into a single silent moment. Daniel looked older than the last time she had seen him. Life had clearly left its marks. There were faint lines near his eyes that hadn't been there before. A quiet tiredness in his expression. The kind of tiredness that only comes from living through things you don't talk about. But none of that mattered. Because despite everything, he was still unmistakably her son. Emily didn't say a word. Instead, she stepped forward and wrapped her arms tightly around him. The hug came instantly. Strong. Almost desperate. As if letting go too soon might cause him to disappear again. Daniel hugged her back just as firmly. At first his shoulders were tense. But slowly, that tension faded as he leaned into the embrace. For a brief moment he closed his eyes. He breathed in deeply. And suddenly he realized something he hadn't allowed himself to admit during the entire journey back. He had missed this place. He had missed home. I didn't mean to show up like this, Daniel said quietly after a moment. His voice carried the exhaustion of someone who had traveled a long distance. Emily pulled back slightly so she could look at his face. Her eyes studied him carefully, almost as if she needed to make sure he was truly standing there. I'm just happy you're here, she replied softly. And she meant it. More than he could possibly understand. Daniel stepped inside the house slowly, glancing around as if he were seeing it for the first time again. Some things had changed. The furniture looked softer. The decorations were simpler. The entire house felt calmer somehow, like it had adapted to years of quiet living rather than the chaos of family life. Emily gently closed the door behind him, but as the door clicked shut, she felt something twist inside her stomach. Because Daniel's return wasn't the only unexpected thing that had happened that night. And very soon, he was going to discover that. Thanks for watching this story. If it touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories like this. And remember, sometimes the smallest moments in life can change everything.